Hello, glad you're here. Um, I am starting, or I guess we are together. You're walking with me. We're going to do Exodus chapter 5. And we're going to do something a little different today because, I like to spice things up and make them fun. We are going to read from something called the Scriptures 2009. Now, this is a translation of the Bible that is a little more literal, word for word, but it also uses God's formal name more than even the complete Jewish Bible. So I'm going to read this chapter in that translation. And if you want to go to the Bible app, you can look it up. It's free, or you can just Google the Scriptures 2009 and learn a little bit more about them. So I know we talk a lot about different translations, and sometimes it matters a lot, but it always matters that you check. Just read a couple of translations just to see. It'll keep you in a very good place. So let's read Exodus chapter 5. And afterwards Moshe and Aaron went in and said to Pharaoh, "Thus says Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, Elohim of Israel, let my people go so that they celebrate a festival to me in the wilderness." And Pharaoh said, "Who is Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I do not know Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, nor am I going to let Israel go." And they said, "The Elohim of the Hebrews," and Elohim is just the chief God, the main God of the Hebrews, "has met with us. Please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and slaughter to Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, our Elohim, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword." But the sovereign of Mitzrayim, which is the Pharaoh of Egypt, said to them, "Moshe and Aaron, why do you take the people from their work? Get back to your burdens." And Pharaoh said, "See, the people of the land are many now, and you make them cease from their burdens." And the same day Pharaoh commanded the slave drivers of the people and their foremen, saying, "You are no longer to give the people straw to make bricks as before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves, and lay on them the required amount of bricks which they made before. Do not diminish it. For, for they are idle. That is why they cry out, saying, 'Let us go and slaughter to our Elohim.'" Basically said, if you have more work to do, you wouldn't have time to complain about things. I think my parents said that a few times. Hi, if you're watching. "Let more work be laid on the men so that they labor in it and not pay attention to the words of falsehood." I'm not saying my parents are slave drivers. I love y'all. Y'all are great. uh, and the slave drivers of the people and their foremen went out and spoke to the people, saying, "Thus says Pharaoh, I do not give you straw. Go, take straw for yourselves wherever you find it, for your work shall not be diminished." And the people were scattered in all the land of Mitzrayim, that's Egypt, to gather stubble for straw. And the slave drivers were hurrying them on, saying, "Fulfill your actions, your daily matters, as when there was straw." Also, the foremen of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh's slave drivers had set over them, were struck and were asked, "Why have you not fulfilled your law in making bricks both yesterday and today as before?" And the foreman of the children of Israel came and cried out to Pharaoh, saying, "Why do you treat your servants this way? There is no straw given to your servants, and they say to us, 'Make bricks,' and see, your servants are struck, but your own people are at fault." But he said, "You are idle, you are idle. That is why you say, 'Let us go and slaughter to Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh.' Now go work, and straw is not given to you, but deliver the amount of bricks." And the foreman of the children of Israel saw that they were in trouble after it was said, "You are not to diminish your daily amount of bricks." And when you came out of Pharaoh, they met Moshe and Aaron, who stood there to meet them. And they said to them, "Look, Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, look on you and judge, because you have made us loathsome in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants, to give a sword in their hands to kill us." And Moshe returned to Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh and said, "Yud-Heh-Vah-Heh, why have you done evil to these people? Why did you send me? For ever since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people, and you have not delivered your people at all." Good thing we never put God on trial like that, or question his judgment, or complain to him, right? Like y'all would never do that kind of stuff. one of the things that I see in this story is the humanness of Moses. He is struggling. He is delivering a very unpopular message. People are hurt by it. And he's like, God, you told me to go tell all them that. Now they all hate me and they're suffering. How's that going to help anybody? So I read mainly from the scriptures version because I think God's formal name, if he gave it to us, we should use it. And so that's why I chose that translation. Get used to using God's formal name, because we get a clearer picture of the conversation and how they viewed this God that is fairly new to their concept, but also is the God of a bunch of slaves, and he's only one God. They're not impressed with it at all. So remember, every culture had their own gods, and they went wherever they wanted to go or where they were supposed to go, and they did what they were supposed to do. And the Pharaoh was considered an incarnation of God. So he was divine. He was skeptical of this so called God. And so when Moses says to let my people make a Hagag, which is a pilgrimage festival, uh, whenever they go to the temple for different pilgrimage festivals that we'll learn about in Leviticus, that's what it is. A Hagag is a pilgrimage where you're supposed to go, you're commanded to go there. What really upset him was that Jehovah considered them his. And he's like, no, these are my slaves. I'm the Pharaoh. Who is this God that says he's in charge of these people? And so it's not that he didn't think there was a God named Jehovah. It's just that he didn't see what it had to do with him. These are his slaves and he's a God, so he didn't care one way or the other. Um, Plus, why would he worry about a God of slaves? He couldn't be that powerful, or his people wouldn't be slaves, was kind of the concept. So he tells Aaron and Moses to get back to work. And Pharaoh takes the Israelites at work and makes it almost impossible to do, making them go get their own straw. So in verse 12, it says that the people had to stop their brick making and go look for straw. So, we've all worked somewhere, or maybe in some situation where you didn't have everything you needed, but the person still wanted it done. That's really the wages of sin. Sin will never satisfy you. You'll never be able to succeed in it because the goal of sin is to crush you. So it's always ratcheted up to a point where you can't handle it anymore until it crushes you. It says, the word says Satan came to kill, steal, and destroy. His goal is not to make you unhappy. It's not to make your marriage bad or to hurt your kid. It's to destroy you. That's a completely different thing. So, now the goal of the Pharaoh was really basically to harass and punish, and it's a shadow of what we're going to see in World War II when the Germans started to eradicate the Jews. See, the Jews were the industrialists. They were the bankers. They were the scientists. They were the ones figuring things out. And so the Nazis decided to exterminate the Jews, and at the same time, they destroyed their economy because Germany quit growing, and their best source of labor and technology, they eradicated, they got rid of. It also hurt their chances to make war. So when they started to try to take over the world, they had given up their best scientists. So it was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy there. So earlier they were prepared to follow Moses. They were like, well, what he's saying makes sense. We should probably consider that. But after the Pharaoh decreed it, they said, God, you should judge Moses because look what he's doing to us. So following God has consequences. You don't get to just say, hey, I'm going to follow God now. And everybody's like, oh, well, that's good. We're okay with it. No, you're going to be attacked. There are consequences for that. So verse 23, it says, he was humble and he was concerned. Moses was not angry with God. He just needed reassurance. He was obeying, but he was also learning. God was working through Moses at the same time he was working through the Hebrew people. And he needed Moses to understand that. God's okay if we're scared. He's okay if we doubt. He's okay if we question him. Just don't judge him. Don't say his way's wrong just because we don't understand it yet. It may take more time, more patience. So God bless. That's chapter 5. We'll cover chapter 6 next time. Read ahead. Share this with somebody who might benefit from it. God bless. Love God, love people, and change the world.